on the type of shoes. Stop sign, are you kidding me? And today I want to talk about bike shoes, specifically what kind of shoes are good for bike commuting. eBikeaholic here. I need to head over to Kohl's to drop off some Amazon returns. I found some really affordable Vans knockoffs. So on the way there, let's talk bike shoes. We got another beautiful hot day here in Austin, Texas. I'm not in any rush, so I think I'm just gonna take it easy and take some of the gravel trails. Nice little shortcut. According to Google Maps, it should take about 10 minutes by car or 14 minutes by bike. And like I said, I'll be going at a casual pace, so it sounds about right. I think it is about 2.5 miles away. And today I want to talk about bike shoes, specifically what kind of shoes are good for bike commuting. I thought about starting with the pedals, right? But ultimately I think it comes down to personal preference and what's more important to you. For me, this is mostly car placement and commuting. Oh, it's dry today, look at that. It's like sand dunes over here. Tires aren't really made for gravel, especially when it's deep like that. That area is a little bit too deep. But yeah, so ultimately I found an affordable pair of Vans knockoffs. I'll put links to all this stuff in the video description below so you can check them out. But they're a pretty good deal and they're pretty good quality. I really liked them. They have a similar sole and really good grip for platform pedals. They're really grippy. Unfortunately, they just didn't fit me. They run, from my experience, they run about half a size bigger than the Vans. And they didn't have the half size that I needed. So I just got to return them. Good thing Amazon does free returns. It's pretty cool. And sorry to get sidetracked here, but it just popped into my head. Sometimes I do debate with myself about the idea of like buying local versus ordering on Amazon and returning things, and you know, thinking about all the carbon impact of having to ship this stuff around. And ultimately it has to get to your door somehow. So most people are going to drive their car to a retail store, and it has to get to that retail store somehow. And so that's going to come from wherever it's manufactured. Of course, we still use most of our things manufactured overseas here in the US, unfortunately. But when I sometimes get guilty, I start to guilt myself about ordering things online and the fact that they're flying around the world and going to these distribution centers. And I think Amazon has gotten big enough now where they have these distribution centers all over the place, and they're gigantic, and they have a ton of stuff that they keep in inventory. So I don't fully understand how their inventory management system works. I have worked in inventory in the past, and it does get very complicated, but I would like to think most of their items that they sell through Amazon Prime, they're able to keep at a local facility. I look at it that way, right? Sorry, I'm getting so sidetracked here. But you know, if they have it available for next day delivery, then it has to already be at a local facility, right? For the most part. Anyway, let's go back to the shoes. So these shoes are really pretty good quality. They're definitely not Vans quality. If you're really into brand names and you don't care about money and you want to spend the 80 bucks on the Vans, I definitely would stick with the Vans. They are really good shoes. But for most of us, myself included, I would prefer to have 2 pairs that would last just as long, or you know, sometimes even longer. That the brand name doesn't really matter to me, other than the fact that when you find a brand that's consistent, it's nice to know that you can stick with them. So I will definitely be checking this brand again to see if maybe I'll write them an email, see if they can add the half size. Maybe they just didn't have it in stock at the time. But if I can get the right size, I would definitely try these again. But ultimately, I really love my Vans. They have that, I forget what it's called. It's like a rubbery sole that has sort of like a honeycomb. And when paired with platform pedals, either sometimes they're listed as MTB pedals, or sometimes they're BMX pedals. As long as they're wide platform pedals, they're gonna be really grippy. So I'm gonna get on the road here, and I think I'm gonna take a little break from talking and shift gears into Timewarp real quick. Okay, sorry about that. So we were talking about shoes. Shoes. So these ones that these pedals that I have on this bike are the Rock Bros, which I was looking at. Bought these probably about 3 years ago, and couldn't even find them on Amazon. I don't know if Rock Bros still makes them like this anymore. They do have a bunch of models that are more MTB style. They are probably similar in size, usually like 100 millimeters or so, but they have like the little metal pins coming out of them, and I'm really not a huge fan of that. I used to ride dirt BMX as a kid and do big jumps and tricks, and one time I was riding home from my friend's house, just not doing anything special, and my foot slipped off, and I still have giant scars all over my shins to prove it. So I like to stick with the nylon pedals and keep them all nylon and have really grippy shoes. The important thing is that they're nice and wide and that they do have some type of pins coming out. And so the ones that I do recommend still, I'll put a link in the video description. The ones that I do recommend, which are on my other bike, is the Odyssey Twisted. They're a nice size, they're affordable. They make them in 1/2 inch 9/16, so they're compatible with pretty much any cranks, and they're awesome. I've been using them for, like I said, 3 or 4 years at least, and I've used tons of pedals, metal, nylon. Definitely for commuting, stick with nylon. then of course, some people like to recommend clipless. It's obviously the newer technology. You get to lock your feet in. I personally don't like them. Again, I think that comes down to personal preference. Some people have done, you know, there's been a bunch of comparisons of people who swear by them, and other people swear by the platforms. But for me, I don't like the idea of being attached to the bike in general. I think they're great for racing and road riding, where you know your route and you know you're just going to be pedaling along the whole time. But especially if you're in a city and you're stop and go, I don't want to be having to detach my foot off the pedal. And then also back to the shoes, of course, we're very limited on the type of shoes. Stop sign. Are you kidding me? Points at me.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, I knew the right thing to do there would be to assume that they're not going to stop. It was a tiny little stop sign in a parking lot. Really, I always blame the infrastructure. It's these parking lots are poorly designed to where she wasn't going to see that. And her reaction, if I saw her again, she would probably apologize and say, sorry, I didn't see the sign. But her reaction was just based on not wanting to be blamed, right? Just the reaction is just blame somebody else. I came to a full stop, which I don't always do because it's usually not safe to come to a full stop for bikes. But ultimately, the right thing, I should have known that she was probably not going to respect that stop sign, and I should have just stopped and waited. But we were going slow enough, and I knew I'd be able to maneuver out. But that's what happens when we got a million of these giant machines and people don't really know how to use them properly. Anyway, so yeah, the clipless, I mean, take that example right there, right? What if you're stuck in your pedals? The last thing you want to be doing is trying to get your feet out of the pedals when you got a giant car coming at you. So being able to just hop right off and land on your feet and have good grip with some skate shoes. So ultimately, platform pedals with the pins and grippy skate shoes that have a porous sole, right? Lots of room for the pins to stick into, and that's what I really like about Vans and the honeycomb shape, is that they give really big rubbery gaps, and they just, man, these trucks, sorry, and they give these big rubbery gaps that the pins just kind of lock right into, and you get excellent grip. So what I hate the most about these highways is how vicious people get. I mean, these intersections just surrounding, you know, they're all bumper to bumper, so everybody's all just fighting for pole position to go nowhere just to get onto this highway to sit in more traffic. It's so ridiculous. But you definitely got to stay extra vigilant, extra careful anywhere near highways. I just really hope they put this highway underground someday. It's I-35. It's horrible, disgusting.